It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
And on the other side, Ultra Vegito finally leaves the portal, confused as normal as he seems to enter unfamiliar territory. He's within a cave, but there are remnants of technology all around him. As he looks around, he thinks to himself, "What is this? These time rings must have malfunctioned. I said Universe 7, but this looks nothing like what I'm used to. Is this some kind of far future?" But soon we see a look from the outside. The surroundings sure do look like Earth. But interestingly, the cave Vegito is in also seems familiar to any OG Dragon Ball Z fans. I need to get away from those fools. I need 17 and 18. As shockingly, we then see a damaged Dr. Gero, aka Android 20, running frantically towards a large metal door. Soon he reaches it and looks up saying, finally it's here, my lab. Before then punching in a complex and encrypted code into the door reader, which automatically then finally opens the laboratory door wide open as he yells, "Here we go! I'm almost there! I win this time, Goku!" As the elderly android then enters excitedly into his lab and immediately begins to think on his next steps, saying, "Right, they shouldn't be able to find my lab for a while. As long as I remain quiet, I can make the necessary adjustments to activate 17 and 18. They will be more than enough. No need to activate 16 just yet. He is still completely untested. His power could prove too strong to control anyway. All I need to do first is..." What? Who goes there? But suddenly, as Dr. Gero thinks, the heightened senses of the android suddenly detect the slight movements of someone nearby. As shockingly, Dr. Gero then turns around and sees none other than Ultra Vegito, standing facing him unflinchingly, still leaking blood onto the floor as Gero yells, "What is the meaning of this? Who are you?" While Ultra Vegito remains deathly silent, at least for now. So our story continues with Dr. Gero having just entered his lab in the hopes of activating 17 and 18 to defeat the Z Fighters, but only to find shockingly Ultra Vegito standing there, who of course is a complete stranger to the esteemed scientist. But with a shocked face, Vegito suddenly begins to realize who it is he is looking at and yells out, "Wait a minute! I know you! Dr. Gero! Is that you? Where am I?" To which Dr. Gero reacts, "What? And he too knows who I am? How does every one of Goku's friends and this complete stranger know of my existence just by appearance alone? This makes no sense. Wait!" But suddenly, in Dr. Gero's rush to try and rationalize what is happening and who this is, he thinks, "No, that hair, is this a Saiyan? It's not Vegeta. Could this be Raditz or Nappa? My data should have all the information needed if that's the case. But that still wouldn't explain how he's in my lab. Computer, show me who this is." Instantly activating the electronics built into his left eye, the same technology Android 19 originally used to detect Yamcha. But unfortunately, as the machine reads Ultra Vegito's face and body under a red hue, nothing at all seems to come up, not even a trace of history. Which isn't surprising, considering at this point in the Dragon Ball Z timeline, Vegeta and Goku had never heard of the Potara earrings or even considered fusion, leaving Dr. Gero to mutter, Damn it! How can this be? He's not in any of the data records, not even the backups. I prepared for this day for too long. I can't let this intruder ruin 17 and 18's launch. And with that, Dr. Giraud quickly looks to his right, instantly seeing 17 and 18's idle chambers, right next to the open casket of the late 19. As Dr. Giraud thinks, still not giving away anything, there's no more time to set any readjustments or calibrations. I have to just hope my previous work still stands the test of time. I need to release them now. But annoyance soon comes back to Dr. Giraud's face as he realizes the rushed and dangerous predicament he unexpectedly is now in. Grumbling, "This is ridiculous." First Piccolo, Vegeta, and the others instantly know of us androids and the exact time and location of our arrival. And now, in my very own lab, an unknown subject appears. This is far too many unexpected variables. But in a flash, Dr. Giraud begins moving at super speed, in his head thinking he has got some head start as he thinks, whoever this is, he didn't destroy 17 or 18. There's no reason to think he's strong. As long as I get to my creations in time, everything will go as planned. And just like that, faster than you ever seen an old man move, Dr. Giraud taps quickly the buttons for Android 18 and then swiftly Android 17, letting out, Yes, I did it! It's done! As slowly, Android 18's capsule begins to open, and Android 17's follows with his eyes opening for the first time in years. Those are... And suddenly, even to Vegito, memories begin to come back, with Android 17 and 18 being far more familiar to him than Dr. Giraud, having fought alongside 17 in the Tournament of Power and 18 being the now wife of the late Krillin. He sees them and thinks, no way! This moment! This is the moment Android 17 and 18 were activated! So that means outsider! But as Vegito thinks, 17 walks out commenting, wow, it's been a while, Doctor. Thank you for waking me. As 18 also steps forward and concurs, yes, Doctor, it's such a pleasure to see you again. I see you two have joined us in becoming an android. What? Dr. Giraud, hearing this cordiality and politeness, is left in a state of brief disbelief, since the last time they were ever activated, he needed to immediately deactivate them for their rebelling nature, and replies, amazing! Did I just hear you thank me? The personality reprogramming must have completed after all. This is just how I envisioned you to finally be, my two greatest creations. 17 and 18! As the two twin androids now stand together, silent and coldly, reminiscent of the deadly, unbelievably powerful killers they once were, before 17 replies, of course, Doctor. You created us after all. I would never doubt your genius to produce perfection. Isn't that right, 18? To which Android 18 just blankly adds, yes, 17. How could we ever pay our dear creator for giving us life? The fakeness in their voices, however, is obvious to any of us OG Dragon Ball Z fans, as 18 ups it a gear, femininely beginning to touch her hair, thinking on the inside, this old freak has gone and made himself an android. But it seems he skimped on giving himself the kind of technology 17 and I have. What a foolish mistake. Now all we have to do is get rid of him, and we will never need to be put to sleep again. 18 with now an inviting smile then approaches closer to Dr. Giraud, with the doctor asking, what is it, 18? Is there something wrong with your programming? To which 18 replies, no, everything is fine, Doctor. I feel better than ever. We just want to know what our first mission for you is. You want us to kill Son Goku, don't you? We can do that, right 17? To which her brother with a more sinister smirk lets out, "That will be no problem, Doctor. We know from our databanks for how long that Saiyan has troubled you, destroying your army and foiling your plans countless times. But with these upgrades you've given us, it'll be no problem. My calculations suggest we're at least 50 to 60 times." My arm! But suddenly, interrupting 17 and 18 from the shadows of the dark cave is Ultra Vegito, who has been standing there this entire time, but seemingly undetected by the androids, as he uncontrollably yells out due to his still raw injury. In a gruesome display, the very veins of Vegito's stump begin to bulge, as blood spurts out, and as he looks at it, he can only think, "Damn it! I was hoping to have arrived back in a timeline that was in peace, closer to Bulma, so I could find the Dragon Balls. What a drag. This is just wasting my time. Wait!" But suddenly, a thought pops into Ultra Vegito's mind. He realizes where he is and what exactly can be done. As he continues, Dr. Gero! I'm in the presence of a doctor and complaining about a severed arm? How can I be so stupid? There's no telling what I can get this old geezer to do for me. To this day, no one has even come close to making beings as advanced as 17 or 18. 17 even won the Tournament of Power! Huh? Who the hell is that? But Vegito's initial outburst does not go unnoticed by the now aware androids, as 17 continues, "Doctor, this man does not appear in any of my data records. Is he one of Goku's friends? 18, any luck on your end?" To which 18 also looks at Vegito and replies, "No, not even a trace in my records. His eyes aren't too different to ours. Could he be another android, Doctor? We thought you stopped after 19's model." I could be an android! But suddenly, after hearing Android 18's assumption, an even greater idea than before comes to Vegito as he continues, "Of course, 17 and 18 began as humans. Dr. Gero is the one who modified them into what they are now. So Dr. Gero could make me a new arm! An arm like 17's. One that gave me infinite energy!" But as Vegito introspectively gets extremely excited by the possibilities of what Dr. Gero could possibly add to his arsenal, the Doctor, meanwhile, hearing what his creations have said, instead responds, "No, he is not one of my creations, 18. He's either a human or a Saiyan. But regardless, he should be no match for either of you. Your first task is to annihilate him, quickly and silently. I don't want to alarm the rest of Goku's friends who are looking for me outside." Dr. Gero then looks to Android 17 and continues, 17, I programmed you as the more powerful of the two of you. It may be overkill, but handle our enemy over here now, and when you're done, you and 18 can finish the rest of the Earthlings outside." Which brings a smirk to 17's face as he lets back out, "Certainly, Doctor. Whatever you wish is my command. I'll do it just as you said, quickly and quietly. I will get rid of our enemy." As curiously, 17 as he says this, then changes his sight to Dr. Gero, moving behind him, also in a very familiar scene to us fans, as Dr. Gero reacts, "Huh? What are you doing, 17? He's over there. I command you, follow your orders and execute your target." To which Android 17 says, "Gladly, old man. It's your turn to be put to sleep." as just like in the original Dragon Ball Z timeline, Android 17 launches a kick meant to assassinate his creator, Dr. Gero. What? But unbelievably, changing the entire course of history once again, Ultra Vegito appears in the nick of time to block Android 17's kick, shocking all involved, with Dr. Gero commenting, 17? What were you trying to do? Were you trying to kill me, you brat? I gave life to you! While 17, who's more alarmed at just how easily he was stopped, inquires, what? 18? Who is this guy? There's no way anyone on this planet should be able to stop me so easily. That felt like hitting an immovable object. While looking coldly down at the teen android with a deathly stare, Vegito says, not today, Tin Can. As much as I'm a fan of rebelling against authority, you'll do nothing until I'm done with him first. Got it? After which, Ultra Vegito turns his head to Dr. Gero and shockingly lets out, you! Listen carefully and listen good. I need a new arm. And you're going to make me one. You're going to make me a damn android! Huh? What? Make him an android? What the hell is going on here? As all three cyborgs lay completely shell-shocked and surprised by the seriously unexpected request. Just what will Ultra Vegito hope to gain by this new cybernetic arm in his arsenal? So our story continues with Ultra Vegito having just defended Dr. Gero from Android 17's kick, which in the original timeline was meant to kill him, leaving not only Dr. Gero, but 17 and 18 completely shocked on top of the Saiyan's strange request to now become an android himself. With the Doctor immediately reacting, Make you an arm? You must have lost your mind. Who the hell do you think you are to demand that of me? I still don't know who you even are, or how you got into my secret lab before even me. But in a comedic turn of events, Ultra Vegito points forward his gruesome severed stump of an arm and replies, well, old man, first off, unless you want me to cover this whole lab in my blood, I'd suggest you start doing something about this injury of mine. But secondly, I am the guy who just saved your head from being kicked off soccer style to the next dimension. So I don't know, but I'd say you owe me a favor now. And hearing the surprisingly sound argument, Dr. Gero immediately turns his head to 17, remembering the turn of events that just happened, reacting in anger, That's true! You ungrateful traitor! It seems you're in need of far more recalibrations. The personality adjustments have made you even worse. In fact, perhaps you need to be put to sleep as a scrapped project altogether. Immediately, of course, alarming 17, who knows too well the horror of being left to remain idle in the capsule he came out of, but of course, knowing how powerless he is now that Dr. Gero has this unexpected bodyguard. Turning around to his last remaining creation that hasn't turned on him, Dr. Gero naively calls out to Krillin's future wife, 18! Come here at once. For whatever reason, only you are functioning as intended. Restrain your brother at once while I find the deactivation remote. Turning his eyes to watch 17 closely, he continues, It seems he can no longer be allowed to roam around, now that he poses a danger to both you and I. Though he was programmed to be stronger than you, it is more in techniques and ability than physicality. And following this, Dr. Gero rummages through his pockets, exclaiming, Now, where are you? I know it was in this pocket. Ah, there you are. And suddenly Dr. Giraud pulls out finally the deactivation remote that with a press of a button can disable both 17 and 18 whenever the doctor desired. Huh? Wait, no! What? Not that damn remote again! As both 17 and 18 are left stunned in shock, clearly paralyzed by just the sight of the one device that renders them in all their strength absolutely helpless, giving their Dr. Giraud ultimate power over them. But trying to keep her calm as well as the act that she's performing just as Dr. Giraud had intended, Android 18 once again ups her feminine charm, touching her hair and replying, "I see. I guess number 17 never was up to scratch, was he? I'll gladly help you deactivate him, Doctor. 17 is clearly in need of some more tuning. But please, go easy on him." After which 18, inexplicably, just like her brother before her, begins walking behind the Doctor, as a paranoid Giraud yells, "18? Now what the hell are you doing? 17 is over there. Don't tell me you two have malfunctioned. Do as you're commanded at once, or I will shut you down too." To which 18, keeping her cool, just softly replies, "Oh, sorry, Doctor. I thought you meant you wanted me to back you up. Sure, I'll handle this myself." Just like this. "What? 18! What are you doing?" As instantly, just like in the original timeline, Android 18 swiftly disarms Dr. Giraud of his remote with one fell swoop. "No! The remote! Give that back now!" Leaving Dr. Giraud to react in horror, as not one, but both of his prized creations instantly rebel against him, fooling him at every turn, and now in possession of the one failsafe he had in place to retain control of them and their exceptional strength. Meanwhile, leaving Ultra Vegito to just sigh in complete disappointment, seeing a one-to-one repeat of events even after saving his life just moments earlier, commenting, "This is absolutely tragic. Weren't you supposed to be one of the greatest minds on Earth? Even smarter than Bulma's father? How do you let two toasters outsmart you? And in literally the same exact way? Pathetic." But Android 18, now in possession of the key to freeing both her and her brother finally, forms a massive grin on her face as she says, "On second thought, I think 17 is working just fine. So I'll be taking this, Doctor. With your old age, I don't think you should be handling such advanced technology. In fact, I think you may have lived long enough. It's time we put you to sleep." But suddenly, a rush of anger and annoyance rushes to Vegito, as he grabs his head as if trying to control his rage as he thinks, "Is he really going to make me save him again? What a pathetic excuse for a creator. Can't even keep control of his own puppets. I guess that makes him no different to the gods. Only difference is, I will actually succeed in eliminating them. Regardless, I'm not letting that damn android ruin my chance of becoming whole again. Krillin's woman or not, I never even liked her in the first place. Probably about time I paid her back for what she did to Vegeta's arm." And instantly, without a word more, Ultra Vegito appears right next to 18, grabbing her remote-holding wrist tightly, to the immediate confusion of 18, who up to this point viewed him as no threat, as she turns her head and yells, "Hey, get the hell off me! Who even are you? If you wanted to die too, you only had to ask. 17, deal with him! Hakai! But before anything else can be said, or indeed her brother 17 can come to her rescue, Ultra Vegito yells the one word that to this point had never been uttered in the Dragon Ball Z series. What? Confusing the female android more than anything, as she, just as expected, begins to erase, turning to dust before the eyes of not only her creator, but her twin brother 17 also. The future Z Fighter slowly losing her place in existence forever. Until ultimately, nothing is left, and Ultra Vegito is seen grabbing onto nothing but air, heartlessly letting out, "Well, there goes one more to the realm of nothingness. But I guess being an android, you had no afterlife anyway. Maybe now Krillin can start dating someone more in his league." No! 18! What did you do to her? What did you do to my sister? As immediately in terror, Android 17 steps back with wide eyes, completely unable to even comprehend what he's just seen. No data in the world could even hope to explain how his powerfully built sister had just vanished into thin air on the command of a stranger. What? Android 18! And the remote too! What did he do to her? I can't sense any trace of her in the surrounding area. This man, just what is he? What was that? And most surprisingly, as if linked by fate, Krillin somehow too notices that something significant has happened. As if by hearing the noise of the android's reaction or sensing somehow the erasure of his once destined wife. Suddenly, he calls out, "Guys! I think I heard something! Right over there, near that cave!" Instantly alerting the rest of the Z Fighters to the location of Dr. Giroux's lab, finally. Krillin? Krillin! As each of the 4 remaining Z Fighters on the battlefield suddenly turn around to the sound of Krillin's voice. Each surprised that Krillin, of all people, would be the first to detect Dr. Giroux's whereabouts. Finally! You better not be wasting our time, Baldy! I want those tin cans to witness my legendary power now! Lead the way! And just like that, all 4 Z Fighters then fly off immediately towards Krillin's location, with Piccolo yelling, "Brace yourself, guys. We've been looking for a while. We might be too late to have stopped the androids activating. Stay on guard." To which Vegeta cockily responds, "Speak for yourself, Green Man. I don't need to fear anything." While Trunks indiscriminately responds, "No, we have to have made it in time. We have to." And eventually, just as Krillin had indicated, the 5 Z Fighters find the mountain the laboratory is located within. And before long, enter the cave and find themselves at the foot of the steel doors, which understandably can't be entered without a code. As Krillin comments, "In there, guys. I'm sure I heard a couple voices. It's shut tight though. Do we just wait for them to come out or what?" While Trunks responds, "Wait, a couple of voices? That means Dr. Giroux isn't alone. That means he activated the androids. We're too late. We have to get out of here." But immediately, not caring for anything his son says, Vegeta rashly raises his palm towards the door and yells out, "Enough of your mindless chatter. If they're in there, then I'm coming in. Stand aside, fools, or be blown apart with it." What? Immediately shocking future Trunks, who yells wildly back at Vegeta in fear, knowing all too well the horrors of the android's power. "No! Stop! If the androids are already here, we need to run! If they see us, we're all dead! We need to wait for Goku! Shut up with mentioning that clown! The Prince of Saiyans needs nobody's help! But in typical Vegeta fashion, Trunks using the G-word only unleashes his rage and temper, as he immediately blasts forward a ki blast straight at the two doors. Vegeta, you fool! The collision, of course, causing mass collateral damage with everyone nearby, with even Piccolo having to cover himself from the beam's power. And just like that, to the surprise of all three inside, the doors of the laboratory fall to the ground, crumble. And for the first time, the Z Fighters lay their sights on not only Android 17, but also Ultra Vegito, with number 17 looking back thinking, huh? Are these Goku's friends? As Dr. Gero, now in an even more shell-shocked state by the sudden intrusion, yells, "What? How did they find my lab so quickly?" And finally, Vegito, knowing this would eventually happen, but still nonetheless unimpressed, thinks, ugh, just as I kill one cockroach, a million others just crawl out from underneath her. I don't think I can bear to be dealing with this lot right now. Not after all this time. This is a nightmare. All my plans ruined. Both androids rebelled again. 18 is missing. This man who inexplicably overpowers us all. And now, even these damn fools have found me. Is this really the end? My dear Cell, you're my only hope. Oi! But Vegito, sensing the feeling of desperation the Doctor is now under, uncharacteristically then offers some words of comfort, even if only for his own benefit, as he says, "Listen, old man, I think you know as well as I do, the jig is up. Whatever way you look at it, you're going to be killed by someone. Either by your little android over there, or Vegeta and his guys out there. Maybe even Piccolo will be the one to finish you after ripping off your hand. But in this room, know this. Two beings tried to kill you, and I stopped both of them. Whatever way you cut it, I'm the only person on your side right now, whether you know who I am or not. So are you going to follow my wishes and survive, or do I leave you to the wolves?" Leaving Dr. Gero near silent as he tries to compute what to do, before a more sinister look comes to Vegito as he reveals one final addition, saying, "Promise to fix me a strong, indestructible arm with certain upgrades that I see fit, and I'll handle all of those punks outside for you. I'll even throw in making that pretty looking android over there disappear too." "What? Make me disappear?" Which instantly strikes fear into the body of Android 17 as he steps back once more, knowing how easily he could vanish from existence just as his sister mysteriously did. And meanwhile, Dr. Gero, with a cold face, knowing he truly has no choice but to agree, finally concedes and lets out, Fine. I accept. Just deal with this all. I need to live. I don't care how you do it." Causing a massive grin to appear on Vegito's face as he responds smugly, "Perfect. I knew you'd see it my way, old man. I guess you are a smart guy after all." And with that all said, Vegito then casually begins walking out towards the standing patiently Z Fighters, only at first appearing as a dark silhouette, as Piccolo yells out, "Hey, someone's coming! Get ready! Trunks, is that one of the androids you told us about? The teenage boy! But eventually, as Vegito finally comes out into full view in the sunlight, brushing his hand through his hair, he says quietly, "Well, hello, my old friends. Or should I say, young?" What? As instantly, Trunks reacts in complete shock, letting out to everyone, That isn't one of the androids, guys! That isn't 17 or 18! Who the hell is he? So our story continues with Ultra Vegito having just left Dr. Gero's lab to confront the Z-Fighters outside. Not a single one of them has ever laid their eyes on Vegito before, let alone the mysterious Ultra form he was now in, as each Z-Fighter, from Krillin to Tien, Piccolo, Vegeta and even future Trunks, share a mixture of shock, fear and curiosity as the fused warrior walks towards them. Vegeta, though of course being the most confident and brazen of the bunch, begins first with an uneasy face saying, This is the android that Punk warned us about? First that obese circus clown I blew up, and now this? What even is he supposed to be? What bizarre hair! And where are his eyebrows? Didn't that kid say the android was supposed to be a teenager? But Ultra Vegito on the other end, looking at one half of himself, hears this and immediately thinks, typical Vegeta, jumping to conclusions. So this is how it's going to go. I guess since they saw me come out of Dr. Gero's lab, it's only right they assume I'm an android too. My best play here is probably to just go with it. But Krillin, who is also somewhat confused over this mystery man's appearance, comments, Yeah, Vegeta's right. This is supposed to be the android Trunks. He's nothing like you described. And wait! He's already missing an arm! And it's bleeding? I don't know, guys. That's a little lifelike, don't you think? Haha. Nervously laughing as he points out something clearly very valid. Huh? Krillin, you're right! And soon, Trunks, who stands nearby, also realizes too that this android was indeed missing its whole arm, thinking to himself, what's going on here? None of the androids I've seen so far are the ones from my timeline. They look so different, especially this guy. Did my arrival here change things that much already? Meanwhile though, Ultra Vegito, who obliviously doesn't realize the concerns of everyone around him, begins. Very well assessed, Prince Vegeta. I should have known from my data stores, with your combat intelligence, you would easily figure things out. Yes, I am indeed an... He's not an android! But before Vegito can say any more, a highly flustered future Trunks yells out to everyone to blow Vegito's cover instantly, continuing, Krillin's right! Not only is he nothing like the androids from my timeline, but that bleeding arm is a dead giveaway, guys! Don't trust him! What? Is this still not the androids? What? Who is this guy then? As soon, now all four of the Z-Fighters react in astonishment that someone would actually lie and pretend to be an android, but for what reason? Trunks though continues, on the way here, I saw what happened to that first android you guys fought. He was just a head rolling around, but there was no blood. These are androids, not cyborgs. They've lost pretty much all of their humanity. Whoever this guy is, he can't be the same. That fat blob you saw was my victim, kid. And now that you mention it, before I destroyed the rest of his body, I ripped his hands off too. It definitely didn't look anything like this imposter's missing arm. Just a bunch of wires with oil spitting out. And that just means... This fool is playing with us! And just like that, filled with anger and annoyance that he's being made a fool of by whoever this is in front of him, Vegeta powers up to his newly acquired Super Saiyan form that he's been dying to show off once again. With a raise of his arm once again, the Super Saiyan Vegeta aims his palm right at Vegito and yells out, "Listen you! You have about 5 seconds to tell us who you are before I send you and the rest of this lab to the next dimension. Talk now if you want to live!" Unknowingly threatening not only technically his own self, but someone so far beyond him in power he could hardly comprehend it. Vegito, hearing all this, immediately shifts his expression to serious, now no longer smirking as he realizes things are already falling apart. He never anticipated that his injury of all things would be what gave him away, nor how sharp future Trunks would be, as he thinks, "Damn it! Why can't things ever go easy for me? God knows I deserve it by now. Getting rid of 18 while she's still a villain is one thing, but I can't bring myself to get rid of these lots. I need to convince them I'm on their team somehow, and that the androids are no longer a threat." And so Vegito, for a moment, stares at the group of Z-Fighters, silently pondering just what his options are, before letting out, "Alright, you got me. I'll talk. Just give me a second." And suddenly, before everyone, Ultra Vegito's body begins to vanish. But where is he going? The coward! He ran away! These damn androids have no backbone at all! Why did you even make us train for 3 years? For these jokes? Causing Vegeta, of course, to gain even more cocky confidence, as yet another android would rather run than face his power. But instantly, Vegeta returns back to the same exact spot, except now with a friend. Inexplicably bringing now Android 17, who seemingly has been taken by complete surprise and so fast he barely had a chance to react. What? That's Android 17! So, he is still in this timeline! But the traumatized Trunks, on finally seeing the monster that slaughtered his master Gohan, instantly reacts in shock and horror at seeing one of the androids he warned everyone about finally. Ultra Vegito, meanwhile, now back with a smirk, grabs onto 17 tightly by the wrist, just like he did with 18, as he says quietly, "Ready to join your sister, brat?" What? Get off me! I'll destroy you for what you did to 18! I'm warning you! Causing the young android to yell back in a mixture of anger for his sister's disappearance and an unconvincing bluffing, knowing inside there's not a thing he can do to this man. What? 17's powering up! This is bad! Guys! We need to get out of here! If that android starts attacking us, we're all dead! You all died in this battle in the future! What? The scary claims from the young Saiyan, of course, immediately striking fear into the bodies of Tien, Piccolo and Krillin, who stay still, contemplating whether escaping is really what they should do right now. Maybe waiting for Goku, as Trunks said, truly is the best decision to make. Wait! Don't you dare move a muscle until I say so! But suddenly, in a cold, demanding voice that paralyzes everyone into listening, Ultra Vegito, with a demonic look from behind 17, continues, "This android right here is not who you need to be fearing right now. Trunks, you know this one has a twin sister, right? Well, I already destroyed her, and I could easily do the same to this weakling too." Huh? How does he know my name? There's no way. Not unless... Immediately at first, causing Trunks to wonder in shock how this complete stranger could know who he is, given he's from a completely different timeline. Before he continues, "What? What do you mean? You destroyed 18 all by yourself? I don't believe it. No one could beat these guys all alone." "You don't believe me, huh? Then watch me." "Wait, what?" Immediately, then with just one arm, pulling and contorting Android 17's body like a weightless ragdoll, as the helpless android yells fruitlessly until... Just like a mere stone off the ground, Ultra Vegito tosses Android 17 shockingly and effortlessly through the air. With such power and intensity, the android can do nothing but go straight with it, immediately causing every single Z-Fighter to turn their heads in complete shock as they watch the crazy strong android they'd been told about and prepared 3 entire years for just get tossed out of the entrance of the cave like a shooting star. But the grinning with confidence Vegito, now knowing he has their attention, finally lets out, "Keep your eye on the birdie, kids. It's time you learned whose side I'm on." And just like that, immediately following his throw, Vegito goes for the finish and blasts off a powerful ki blast straight from his palm. What? No! As Android 17 continues to shoot off through the air, forced to watch as his inevitable death then flies after him in pursuit. The beam gets closer and closer as 17 tries his best to struggle and escape his motion, grunting, "It can't end like this! I don't want to sleep again!" But before long, the end of Android 17 finally reaches him as his face becomes completely engulfed in the light of the beam, and for a moment, even his cries are completely drowned out. And in one massive explosion, Android 17 is hit directly just as expected, as a bright light from the explosion causes every one of the Z-Fighters to cover themselves from the debris and shockwave of the impacts. But in the midst of the destruction, the result is clear, as Android 17, though not erased like his sister, is reduced back to pieces of scrap metal, as his entire body breaks apart before everyone. But in the end, once the dust settles, all the Z-Fighters are left in utter shock and awe, with a hint of disbelief, as they slowly realize the power they just felt and saw is unlike anything they'd ever witnessed before, and ultimately unlike anything they'd witnessed for years to come, as Vegeta comments, What power?" And Piccolo says, "Unbelievable! We're out of our depth! No amount of training could prepare us for that kind of strength! We need to get out of here!" While Trunks just remains near silent, most likely from being unable to even comprehend 17's demise so easily before his eyes. Eventually though, as he steps back slowly with a sense of amazement, he mutters, He did it! Android 17 is gone! In one attack? Gohan, I wish you could have seen this! While Vegeta, now shifting his shock to envy and jealousy, becomes angered and thinks, Just what the hell was that right now? Just when I gain a new level of power to surpass Kakarot, another freak comes out of the woodwork to blast me out of the water. First came that brat, and now this clown. That power is on a whole different level. What's going on here? But Vegito, knowing that his job is done and there is no more need for these Z-Fighters to doubt him or stick around, turns his back and lets out, "Suffice to say, I'm sure that was more than enough proof for you guys. Good job training for those 3 years, but the androids are all dead, and this battle is now over. Head back home and take care of Goku. Make sure he gets that antidote, and in about 7 years, a pink blob far stronger than any of these toasters will appear. So get a move on preparing for that, because if you bother me again, it won't end well for you." What? A threat stronger than the androids? And how does he know about Goku and the antidote? Something isn't right here. Leaving the wise Namekian to start piecing together just who and where this mysterious stranger must come from. So our story continues after Vegito had just met the Z-Fighters, having told them to leave the battlefield now that both the android menaces they just spent 3 years training for had been eradicated by Vegito himself. Before, without warning, Ultra Vegito turns around, now surrounding himself in aura as he yells, "I thought I told you punks to get moving, or do you need me to help you? What are you doing? This energy, it's rising! Is he turning on us?" Which of course begins to alarm the not so cocky now Vegeta, who had just witnessed the power of the mystery figure. Slowly, in typical God-killer fashion, Vegito raises his hand, in the same way he would just before Hakkaiing his foes, until suddenly, in a throwback to Nappa, Vegito holds up 2 fingers whispering, "Get lost!" But unlike Nappa, the 2 fingers don't destroy the surrounding area, but instead coat the broken laboratory doors on the ground in the same aura that coated Vegito, and within seconds they levitate up from the ground and reach back up to the entrance of the cave until, with a loud and abrupt bang, the doors along with the crumbling surrounding rocks create a makeshift barrier to seal the entrance forevermore. What? Did he? Guess he wasn't kidding after all. As each of the Z-Fighters outside remain dumbfounded by the huge turn of events, basically now having been gatekept by an all-powerful figure from continuing any further with their quest, having to just take Vegito's word for it, the threat is now over, or challenge him and suffer brutal and guaranteed defeat. Finally, some peace and quiet. Ready for me, Doctor? Leaving Ultra Vegito with a pleased smile as finally his interaction with the rest of the Z-Fighters is now surely put to an end, and he can get down to business. But from the outside, the makeshift barrier soon then closes completely to be even tighter and stronger than ever before, as everyone else, including Vegeta, just remains stunned into quietness. The silence only being broken when Krillin exclaims, "Hey! You guys aren't actually thinking of breaking that door down again, are you? Because he wasn't lying. Whoever he was, he did destroy that powerful android you warned us about. Right, Trunks? I don't think we should tempt fate here." And for a moment, future Trunks, hearing this, stays silent, not knowing what to say, before finally replying, Yeah, that was definitely Android 17. I couldn't forget that monster's face even if I tried. And now, he's gone. Him and his sister come as a pair. If 17's gone, I couldn't imagine his sister not doing something about it. So it must be as that guy said. He destroyed her too. But as Trunks says all this with a forlorn look as if still not satisfied, Tien Shinhan is quick to point out, "Well, what's the problem then? Listen, the way I see it, we trained all this time to defeat those 2 guys you warned us about. You warned us so that we could survive, and so they would be destroyed. Well, we're alive, including Goku, and those two are gone. We should be celebrating. I'm with Krillin. I say we don't push our luck and just leave that guy alone. But despite Tien's logic, Future Trunks still feels something is very off, as he continues, But this guy didn't exist in my timeline, Tien, and neither did that other android you fought, Android 19. I feel like my arrival here has changed a lot already in your timeline, but not in the ways me and my mother hoped. I can't be sure yet if this is good, or I have caused something even worse to happen instead. But you're probably right to leave this alone. He's not attacking us. At least if something does happen now down the line, we'll have Goku with us soon. Mother told me in uncertain times like this, he'd always come through. But with Future Trunks obliviously pressing the Goku button again right in front of the Prince, it finally makes Vegeta snap. Kakarot? You think Kakarot would make a damn difference here? These amateurs may not have just realized what they saw, but that thing in there is on a whole other level. He's like a god compared to us. What was the damn point of becoming a Super Saiyan? The legendary warrior my father told me of, if it was this easily outclassed. As soon, the utter rage and jealousy building in Vegeta becomes so palpable, it switches from the veins that bulge on his forehead to bursting forth from his body as a golden aura consumes him until... With a roar, he blasts his energy outwards, powering to what seems to be his max power level, screaming as he does so, I will surpass my limits! This is not over! Continuing his power up with no regard for anyone else, as he gets everything off his chest. Trunks, Krillin, Tien and Piccolo all just covering themselves in shock, wondering what on earth the Prince is doing. What the hell is your problem, Vegeta? Cool it before that guy comes back out! Shut it, Green Man. You and these weaklings can hide in fear all you want, but I will go get myself a new power. A power to surpass a Super Saiyan. And I'll destroy that clown for taking my kill. Instantly, in typical hard-headed Vegeta fashion, then flying off at speed into the distance in search of surpassing his limits once more. Father. Leaving Future Trunks meanwhile to think on Vegeta's words and what they could mean. A power to surpass a Super Saiyan? What does he mean? Could there really be a form beyond what we have already? But Piccolo, who takes Trunks' confused look for wondering what that outburst was about, just explains, Don't worry about him, Trunks. That's just Vegeta. His ego has been severely damaged by what he just witnessed. He's probably headed back to Capsule Corp to train right now. And he's not wrong too. We should all be continuing our training. If not for him, for any future threats that will come. We dodged a bullet today, but that's not to say we won't have tougher battles in the future. To which Trunks once again stays silent for a moment to think introspectively before letting out, Yeah, you're probably right. In any scenario, we all need to get stronger. I just wish Father would just be a little less rash. And with that, all of the remaining Z fighters nod in agreement before shooting off into the sky, ultimately deciding to leave Ultra Vegito finally to his own devices. Meanwhile, back with Ultra Vegito, finally alone with the Doctor, he addresses him. So, you heard me then, Jiro. When exactly are you going to get to work? I need a new arm, but not like that garbage you gave yourself in that blob 19. I need what you gave 17. No, even stronger than that. But Giro, hearing this, is far from impressed. Instead, actually incensed, still, that he's being spoken to like a mere slave. As he thinks, who does he think he is? I'm no servant to be used as and when he wants. He should be my slave. A slave to my android abilities and infinite life. This man just destroyed my life's work in an instant, and now expects me to just work for him without question? And with his frustration bubbling over, for a moment, Dr. Giro loses sight of who he's talking to, and yells back, "How dare you speak to me like that? Do you have any idea who I am? I was revered around the world, paid millions to work when you were still in nappies. Yet you think I'll work for nothing in return? Tell me this. What will you do if I refuse? You've already destroyed everything I ever lived for. So why do you think I'd fear death by your hand?" But Vegito, who is completely unfazed by Giro's apparent bravery in the face of death threats, just replies calmly, "Well, if you didn't agree to make my arm, it's no problem really. I'd just find another way. Maybe visit Dr. Brief instead. But what I would do is of course first kill you, slowly and agonizingly, before then destroying that lunk of metal, Android 16 over there. And then finally, come for your precious baby, Cell. And I'd erase him from the face of the earth before he ever got to be born. Now how does that sound, Doctor?" What? Did you just say? Of course, hearing this, Dr. Giro is left nothing short of gobsmacked. So much information that just couldn't be known by anyone other than himself, as he immediately queries, How could he possibly know about Cell as well? 16 is one thing, but this is impossible. That settles it. This creature cannot be mortal nor from this dimension. That kind of knowledge has to be otherworldly. And he knows, even if I've lost 17 and 18, I cannot lose Cell. Cell is my only hope for revenge on this damned planet. Now completely beaten mentally and accepting his predicament, Dr. Giro solemnly looks at the ground and remains in total silence, using the mass computer power stored within his body to compute exactly what he must do for the highest probability of survival, before eventually looking up at Vegito and lifting his arm to point to his right. He finally then concedes, "Okay, I get it. I give up. You win. Your existence and knowledge of things you should not know will most likely never be answered. So let us just begin and get this over with. Come here and get on the operating table, and we can start as you wish." And on hearing this, an immediate smirk of gratification then finds itself to Vegito's face, knowing he had finally broken the old man down to get what he wanted, as he lets out finally, "Excellent, Doctor. I knew you'd see it my way eventually. I guess you toasters can be useful sometimes." And so some days pass, and we eventually return to see Ultra Vegito in an operating room within Giro's lab, with the android doctor himself beside, overseeing everything that is happening. Most curiously though, as we peer at the presumably unconscious Vegito's face, we notice, even when connected up to oxygen and with his eyes closed, he still maintains his Ultra form. a showcase of either just how much he has now mastered the form, or a sign he is ready even in this state for any sudden attack from Gero or the numerous gods that now want his head. But most importantly, now in place of where his left arm once was, is a completely robotic arm, still in what seems to be an alpha stage with no skin covering it, and noticeably thicker and more durable than even the ultra-powerful limbs of 17 and 18. The beginning of Cyborg Ultra Vegito's story has just begun. But as Dr. Gero watches over, it's clear he does still bear hatred in his heart and a mystery ulterior motive, as he thinks to himself, with him being so vulnerable right now, you'd think I could just finish him as is. Maybe with poison. Maybe by implanting a self-detonating bomb on his heart. But with there being no data on him, and just how easily he dealt with 17 and 18, I wouldn't even be surprised if he could wake up at the very minute I attempted anything. No science in the world could ever explain exactly the kind of powers I have witnessed from this man.
L is for lovers who love one another. A is for ass, of which I like to eat. U is for you're the only one for me. G